What's going on, everybody? What's going on? If you're out there, give us the old thumbs up. Give us the 5x5, the hello, the howdy do, howdy, all the different ways you can say hello in this wonderful world that we live in, that God has given us. Hello, hello, hello. I do have Monica coming. Don't worry. You don't have to deal with me all by yourself. I like how I got the vacuum sitting back there behind me. I love it when things aren't put away where they're supposed to go. So welcome, welcome. Let's see who we got in here today in this beautiful day. Let's see. Good Times Homestead with Jen and Steve. Jen, how are you? So let's see. See you later, maybe. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to make it back in. Golf Mania, Jerusha, how are you? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Broke Cowgirl Homestead. Got pizza, chores done, stuff in my face. That's what I'm talking about. What is everybody eating for dinner tonight? Tonight, I've got something. Normally, now, I'm not a soup person. I don't know if you got soup. I'm not a soup person. I'm typically the guy. I like my beef. I like my pork. Chicken is fine. I know it's a kind of a misnomer with me that I'm not a huge chicken person, which it's not the top of the list. Beef, by far, is always the top of the list. But this is one of the very few soups that I'll eat. And that's not that I don't like soup. It's just I don't eat a whole lot of soup because it seems like it never fills me up. But this soup does fill me up, especially when I'm looking for a good high protein, and that is egg drop soup. This is a recipe that Monica got off of Boots and Bounty, and she's been making it for some time now. And I tell you, it is really a delicious homemade soup, and she's got it even better tonight. So the reason why it's even better tonight, I think, is not only is it made out of our home ingredients, such as eggs, because it's egg drop soup, but it's also got some of our spring onions that we've grown right here in our own garden. So you know what? When your own vegetables are thrown in there, how can you beat it, right? Miss Rebecca Davis, how are you? So what's everybody eating tonight? What do you got for dinner? Let's see. We got Broke Cowgirls eating pizza. Rebecca Davis is here. Let's see. Miss Heather Lynn, Garden to Table with Heather Lynn. Hello. It's good to see you. Good. It's good to know you're getting off the Bible study. It's always a great way to get the night started. Amen to that. Let's see. Denise Paschal, Green Granny 2. Good evening to you. Miss Leanne over at Mennonite Farmhouse. What's going on? Howdy, howdy. Cottonwood Patch. I smell sarcasm. I'm not sure which part I'm trying to catch up. So if you smell it, I probably put it down. That's for sure. Because sarcasm, that didn't sound right, did it? I'm very sarcastic. But as I said, I'm not a big soup person. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. The Vineyard Farmhouse. What's going on? Good evening to you. I feel like, have we seen you here before? Not 100%. But whether we have or haven't, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for stopping in here to check us out. Kettle Kitchen, same thing with you, sir. Hello, hello. It's good to see you. Hello, everyone. And my special family, and Monica and Eric, Bland's Promised Land Ranch. What's up? Let's see. Oh, Leanne's got some New York strip, scallop potatoes, and homegrown salad. You know what? We did our salad this year. We planted it in the garden later than what Monica wanted to, because according to Monica, we're always late. We have some great stuff out there. Red cabbage, collard greens, mustard greens. Let's see, the Malabar spinach. I'm trying to think of what else we have out there. We have some leaf lettuces and things like that. And unfortunately, I have not gotten a chance to.
Oh, the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Sorry, I put it there.
See, I said earlier, it wasn't put away, and
that's actually where it goes. There's no real place for it.
Anyway,
this stuff isn't put away.
So yeah, we have a lot of greens out there that unfortunately I just feel like I haven't really had a chance to partake in this year yet. But there's always fall. You know what?
Well, I'm making them more. There's some of them are starting to bolt. Some of my greens are starting to bolt, so I'm trying to catch them before they completely go away. But I feel like overall they're doing well.
All right. So we're asking people what they are eating for dinner today.
I heard that. Did you see what Heavenly Hills Homestead ate for dinner?
We're getting there though. See Jake over at Nunya, Texas.
Oh, it just dropped to the whole bottom.
It did. Holy smokes. Where'd he go? There we go. Jake over at Nunya. What's going on?
Kettle Kitchen loves egg drop soup too.
Yes, and I'm telling you,
good.
go check this recipe out over
Boots
on
and
Boots and
Bounty.
Bounty.
Has a really good one.
It's delicious.
It's just easy.
And it's easy.
And I like to be able to follow along. And I've probably watched that video like, I don't know, 150 times, but it's so nice. I love it. Taco salad for adults and tacos for kids. Boom, that's good.
So
Abigail did not eat what Dad had.
Now that I'm older, I love taco salad.
Really?
Well, I do, because it's just a taco with on our lettuce.
That's true.
Right? When I was a kid, Mom used to make this like dressing that went on top. Never a big fan.
Okay, so Jake had ravioli. Denise had some chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn.
Here, let's put these up there so people can see.
Oh, Heavenly Hills had corned beef cabbage, pinto beans, mac and cheese, and cornbread muffins. That is a West Virginia meal.
Heavenly Hills, corned beef cabbage.
Grandma would be like, let's have some supper. She'd be putting sliced tomatoes out. Not yet. This time of year, you don't have sliced tomatoes usually, but
yeah. So
coming.
Hello to Heavenly Hills. He'll be our guest here shortly.
Yep.
So super excited to have him on. Let's see, Gary Wilson. Hello, Gary.
Hey,
what's
up,
going
man?
on? I wanted to tell you, and I don't know if everybody remembers, a couple weeks back, that the Wilson family was so dedicated to getting to our live that in the car while they're getting out of graduation, one of the daughters, sisters,
Liberty graduated college.
Graduated
before she graduated high school.
Yeah. So congratulations to her on that. But we said that we were going to give T-shirts to them, everybody that logged in.
They're coming, don't worry.
So it was Gary and his two sisters. So Gary, what I need you to do, he's got to have email, right? He's got to have email.
Hey, Garrett, just text one of the boys what size shirt you wear so I can get it ordered. Okay?
And your sisters too. Make sure if it's youth size or not.
I'll ask Liberty, but
okay.
Yeah. And get Abby's size. All right, let's see who else is in here because you're really behind.
Yeah, no, we're just enjoying ourselves.
No, you're super behind. I don't hate it. I dislike heavily when people are chatting and the person is like 20 minutes behind. Okay.
You got to deal with your anger issues. Okay.
It's not, I'm not angry.
Annette, hello. So glad that you're in here.
All the way from Australia.
That's so, geez, I started like this accent.
I know. It's weird. That's super weird.
Miss Abigail, what's going on?
She already just said that she had what you had for dinner, and then she realized she did. No, the vacuum should have put it away. Tisk, tisk. I know. See, look, this is how far behind everybody is. Oh, Dawn says, hey, she's awake. Yay.
What's going on?
I'm glad you're here. The Vineyard Farmhouse. You probably know me from one of MT Homestead's live, Mike, on Sunday. And that's how I know about you.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Oh, because I was saying that they looked familiar, but I wasn't quite certain if they were here before.
Got it. Well, you said that like 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
Oh, and it just did it again.
Okay, fine. I'm not even gonna.
Ooh, Heather Lynn had a salad with lettuce from the garden and strawberry rhubarb dessert. Ooh, that sounds so fancy.
Now, what exactly is rhubarb? I've never understood that.
So it looks like a lettuce, but it's not a lettuce. And it's like this. It basically looks like a celery with like a red stem. Okay, so it looks like celery with a red stem. And you can take the rhubarb and make it into like pies and other stuff.
Sounds gross. All right, moving right along.
It's not celery. It's different.
Let's see. We got Miss Andale in here.
Andale.
What's going on?
Oh, Jake said he's picking tomatoes. I did pick tomatoes the other day. I had green tomatoes, but I didn't really pick it. It fell off into my hand.
Those were our tomatoes.
That was our tomato last night.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so I had a tomato last night that I sliced up.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that shortly. That's on the list of things.
Oh, Andale had tacos with lettuce and onions in the garden. Even seasoned the meat with herbs from the garden. Ooh, there's nothing better, Miss Andale.
I'm going to tell you something.
If I can meet up with Andale, I'll take her some ground beef, so she can make her own tacos from ranch meat. That sounds weird. From Bland's really Promised Land Ranch ground beef. I need to meet up with you, Andale, while I'm in South Carolina because I'm literally going to be in Florence.
So Bland's Promised Land Ranch is doing a national tour.
I'm doing the South. From the South, I'm taking Route 10. If you meet up with me on the way on the Route 10 trip, whoop, there you go. Oh no, not 10. Taking Route 20, not 10. Oof.
All right, yeah. So Thursday's a quick supper night before she does Bible study. It's good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yep. Heather Lynn was just getting back from Bible study, so she's doing good. Let's see who else we got here.
Super excited today is finally getting my greenhouse as a late Mother's Day present. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, Annette, and her birthday is on Tuesday. Well, happy early birthday. That's awesome. Annette from Apple Tree Urban Homestead's getting that greenhouse. That's pretty exciting. Hey, what's up, Linda and Chuck? How are you? Oh, Mariah's in here doing better with Mariah.
There you go. Hey, we had a busy.
I love that.
Well, Monica had a busy week.
So make sure we're not missing anybody else. Caleb's here. What's up, Caleb?
Okay. Well, yeah.
There you go. And Leanne said it's a tart vegetable that you use like a fruit. How can you be from this part of the country? You know what? We have had rhubarb presented to us as an option. However, I don't think either one of us ate it as a dessert option. Eric's grandma, who lived in West Virginia, had she often had rhubarb options, and so yeah.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Great.
Yeah,
great. Let's see.
We never ate it though.
We have Life with Belinda and Chuck, and
Lisa's here.
Lisa from Yogi Hollow's in here.
Da-da-da-da.
All right, so we're called up.
Them pheasants, girl.
We're basically just asking what everybody's eating for dinner. Or in case you're just joining us, I'm eating egg drop soup. I was going to say too that this is one of those meals because last night, and people that are around me a lot will know this, but typically I eat like a higher protein diet.
Mm-hmm.
I will eat vegetables.
And Reese's Cups when available. Peanut butter is high protein, right?
Okay, I don't know that. Why did you have to tell anybody that?
Everybody already knew that. Oh, thank you, Tony from Kettle Kitchen. He said happy anniversary.
Yeah. 25 years.
I know. I've been putting out a bunch of little like cutesy little things on my Instagram about how we've been married for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cute.
It is cute. And I still love her. No, I was going to say I love her the same as I did when I married her.
I still love her. Nope.
No.
That's almost as nice as when he said to me, look, baby, it's never been about your looks.
No, that's totally out of context.
Cool.
Don't say
really
that.
Glad I'm pretty.
Did you do your hair for the show?
I didn't do my hair for the show.
Well,
it's been a long day, guys. It's been a very long day for me.
If you want me to love your hair, then you got to do it.
Mariah says, Reese, are a great treat. I'm with you. But I did put my eyes on and my earrings in. Look how cute these are. These were a present from a friend.
I think you meant your eyes in and your earrings on.
No, I know. I put my eyes on and my earrings in my ears. My eyes on meaning I did my little bit of eye makeup. Okay. The little bit that I do. Kettle Kitchen says, I know every time my IG went off like 2 days straight, it was another Bland's anniversary reminder. Wow. It was just me being all sappy. Sorry.
I got to go back and look at it.
It's just all sappy. I love you.
So, yes, I love this woman as much as, no, excuse me. I love her more than I ever thought I could.
So sweet.
So glad that we're,
married.
Yeah, that. Anyway, so we're just so glad everybody joined us in here. So one of the things we've been talking about is what we're eating for dinner. So I was talking about the egg drop soup because that's some high protein stuff right there. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty clean. There's not really much to it. It's eggs. What else is in it? Eggs, the onions that we grow. Mm-hmm. And then what else?
Beef broth and...
Is that homemade beef broth?
No, it wasn't ours this night. This night. It was not ours. No, it wasn't ours tonight. No, it's super simple. It's just like a handful of ingredients. I like how you're leaning into the mic to take your bites of your soup. You're like... Can
people hear me while I'm like...
This is not ASMR night, so... There you go. Anyway, it's super easy. It's a very, very easy recipe. And if you want to see it, you have to go to Boots and Bounty Homestead. Yeah. Super cool. I love that recipe and I've seen it. I've made it so many times now. I can make it by heart. Every now and then I do check back to make sure I'm not doing it wrong. Egg drop soup. I'm telling you, Lisa, it is so good. This recipe is so good.
It actually,
thank you, Jake.
It is.
Hey, Lisa Kalovi.
It is very much like the actual restaurant stuff. And I think that's why it's so good.
Really? I've never had the restaurant stuff though. Why? I don't think because I've never had the desire to eat eggs bathing in broth.
It's good for you.
Okay. But you're so rude. Like, hey, vote, ready? Raise of hands. Is Eric the ruder one of the two? Yes or no? Simply because I'll eat snacks, like delicious snacks, like little pieces of something and I'll put in my mouth and over here. No, he's taking a bowl, shoving it in his face, and then in the mic.
They can't hear nothing. They can't hear slurping.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, look right there. Jake agrees. Yes, you're the ruder of the two.
Wait, even when Monica's over here like burping and acting cray?
First of all, I bring little snacks and I eat it off the side of the camera and I don't have egg in my beard. That's just gross.
Where?
Right there. It's so gross. Get it out of your beard. No, other side.
Got it.
I don't have a napkin. No, it's still there. No, I'm not. I'm not wiping
You should wipe
mashed
it for
egg
me.
off your chicken eggs. I'm on my way. It's not chicken eggs. It's duck eggs. It's duck egg drop soup. Kettle Kitchen said, I plead the fifth as a may incriminate Eric. See? Rude. Rude.
So we got Mr. B Hardy 2 up in here. Hello.
Dawn says she loves egg drop soup. Yum.
Egg drop soups? I mean, look.
See, I've never had the version, and he says it tastes like it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
My mom says she doesn't like it normally either, but I have to say, I think it's just better than anything.
The thing that's most different.
Tony says slurp. That's all he's hearing. See?
The thing that is most different is when you get it from the restaurant, it's like more, it's not stringy like you have it in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a
clumps.
Yeah, kind of like a clump.
Oh.
Yeah.
So your mom says hello. Oh, Jerusha says she was outside feeding critters. No worries. And Dawn says, who remembers the Rotten Jelly Bean Live? Belching Eric. Ha ha ha. Thank you very much, Miss Dawn. I appreciate that. Because you know what? He had nasty breath and kept breathing it on me too.
Well, no, let's go back though.
Blah, blah.
Let's go back. Who decided to agree to take us onto that live?
I did. That was me.
You did.
It was
so
fun.
I thought that it was only fair.
It was fun because I didn't get anything
share
really bad.
my soured milk breath with you.
Yuck. That was nasty.
It tasted nasty. But you're going to have to do more than that to get me to heave, or it wasn't that big of a deal.
Sorry. Well, sorry. I have the kids asking me questions here, so I have to respond before I lose my phone.
You're going to get punished?
No, it's going to die. My phone's going to die.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So if you haven't had a chance, Monica also, hello, Little Frenchie in Big Texas. Monica also was highlighted / invited to be on the show.
Oh, I was over there with
Life with Chuck and
Belinda
and Chuck.
Yes, that was a really nice discussion. We had a really nice, fun time over at Belinda and Chuck's, and you'll have to go over there and check it out. It was really cool. Yeah.
I want to show you something. This is very interesting.
Real quick, did you see that though? She said that's when she fell in love with us. The nasty jelly bean belching, by the way. That's what clinched it for Dawn.
Cool. Well, that's how I fell in love with Monica.
Not true.
No. Okay.
All right. What are you highlighting here?
No, I thought this was interesting. That this is how Jake communicates with his wife.
With his wife, yes. Hello, wife, and she's like, "Hello, husband." She's probably saying it in French somewhere.
She has.
She has
here it is. Here it is, right here. Look at this.
Hello, dear. That right there. That's true love. That's true love.
Love. True love.
Oh, there's your dad.
Let's see. We've got.
Oh, look. Andale says, hello, my other Ann.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I was over there with Chuck and Belinda, and Chuck was a gracious host. He was awesome. I didn't get a chance to see Belinda, but I did see Chuck, and he was hanging out. His grandkids were there, and some of his kids were there. And it was just a really good conversation. We had a lot of fun. We laughed, and we had some good talks. So you have to go check it out when you get a chance, because it was really good. Yeah. It was a really fun time. So I'm glad I could make it. Even though Eric was working, I'm glad I could be there.
Yeah, I think Chuck was hesitant when he hold on. He was hesitant when he found out it was just going to be Monica, because he was probably thinking viewership is going to go way down. And then I guess he decided to go through with it. I don't know.
You were so rude, because he came in right from the get go. He was like, either one of y'all. I was like, awesome.
Oh, really?
He was like, you, him, both. And I said, well, it's just going to be me. And he's like, that'll be fine. So I'm sure he wasn't devastated.
Nobody's always talking about my snacks. No, don't even.
Hey, Rich from Old Tweets Farm, how are you? His video is one I have to make next. I put the video out to be a part of the $50 February challenge, because I'm seeing other people are finally getting theirs out too, and so mine is coming. I just wanted to make sure I kind of had my ducks in a row, and it's been really busy with Abigail graduating last weekend. It was crazy around here.
Yeah.
And then this week we've kind of been battling off and on some headaches and some upset tummies here off and on the house. As a matter of fact, last night we wrapped up season 2 of recording the Round the Hay Bale podcast that I do with Yogi Hollow Farm, Country Mama Musings, and Casey over at Ormsby Farms. And we finished up the last few episodes, recording them last night. I was up extremely way too late, and I come out from recording. I wasn't goofing off either. Like, we literally, as soon as we were done,
I'm not buying that.
It was done. No,
Monica's like reverting. She's reverting back to like her party days.
No, I'm for real, and they can vouch. There's been other mornings
Did
where
you actually have parties.
No, only with you. Only when I started dating Eric. That's when I started partying. We don't talk about that because my mom's on here. Anyway, although your mom and dad are both on here, so maybe you should tell them about all your. Okay, we're not going to talk about that. So here's what we're going to talk about.
That's how I knew I needed Jesus. I mean,
yeah. Anyway, last night was like the first night in a long time we weren't like goofing off half the night. We actually trying to get to it, but we had to change links and we had to just stay busy, like going from one thing to another. We recorded our final 3 episodes plus like 1,000,001 trailers so that you guys can see the trailers on Mondays and you can see and listen to the rest of the podcast that day too. But you can see a little peek of what we're doing here on YouTube, and then you can go and listen to it on all the different podcast platforms, which is awesome because we're on so many podcast platforms, which is really exciting. So
yeah, no, it's exciting. If you guys are looking for, I still have not looked. I've been so busy at work that I know I talked about this last week. I have not watched any videos to the point where even when you were on Chuck and Belinda,
you started watching.
I pulled it up. I watched, and tell me just like roughly where he made a comment about a beard. How long in it would you say? How far in was that?
Oh, I don't know. Before I even came in, it was maybe 3 or 4 minutes in.
Like 3 or 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden something happened. I had to shut it down.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's been crazy busy. And
don't take off this yet because I wanted to comment this.
Okay.
But it's 16 episodes, by the way, Rich. We record 16 episodes in this season coming up. So that's pretty exciting. Season 2 is 16 episodes, and we have already released 8 of the 16. This coming Monday will be episode 9, and we will have episodes all the way through July, I believe, leading up to our very final episode. So I'm excited. It'll be the last Monday in July will be our last episode, I think, of the season. So super excited about all of it. Anyway, I wanted to address this real quick. So yes, your eggs will be fine. Stick them in the incubator and go for it. Okay. Just go for it. Don't worry about candling them. Don't worry about doing anything now. Wait, give it like a week. And in 7 days, you can give it a little look-see, or maybe 10 days. Just try. They're not going to be, you never give up, especially right away. You don't ever think they're not good. Don't worry about candling them. Don't worry about doing anything at all. Just go ahead and put them in the incubator and get moving. And then in like 10 days, that's when you can pull it out and candle them. And if you need a light for candling, there's a really good one on Amazon. You can use a flashlight or whatever, but it's so much easier when you get a candling light. And I've got mine from Amazon before. I've gotten mine. Yeah, I'm really good at this talking thing. But I have one from Amazon and I love it. I really do. So I can tell you what I use if you want.
Yeah.
It would have been great with Eric. It was good with Monica, but it would have been great with Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did keep the Eric bashing to a minimum. I promise. No, there was no Eric bashing.
So interestingly enough, you just hold in there, sir.
That's what you had for dinner. Sounds interesting. I'm a good actress. See?
No, that's not what he ate. I'm not buying that at all.
Tony, I bet you it is.
But read the whole thing. He drizzled it with burnt bacon grease, slopped up with moldy rye bread.
Ew, never mind.
Topped with a dollop of Crisco.
Smothered in celery and rhubarb sauce. Okay, there you go.
So yeah,
no, I'm not believing it, Tony.
We're open to anybody. Well, not everybody. We do have some. We do limit sometimes who we agree to get on live.
Well, we do have someone asking us too, so we need to get back to them as well. We got an email this week. We've been so busy this week again. We had some sick kids this week. I have been battling a headache all day, and finally about 6 o'clock or so, I just talked myself into I was gonna just get out of the funk. I started drinking some more water, and I started just really pushing the water, and doing much better now.
I want to say hi to Projects with Paul real quick. I hadn't got a chance to call him out. I did throw him up on there, but let's see who else we got in here. Okay. Miss Jeannie Lipsky is in here. Hello. So glad that you're in here.
Hold on, I'm looking for something here for you.
Let's see who else we got in here. So I did want to mention the special shout out. Let's see. Special shout out to B. Hardy. He's one of the guys that helps me out a lot. He is my brother-in-law, and he helps us out a lot on the farm. If you watch our videos, you see the guy with the big crazy beard. That's him. So
the one dancing in our one video.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You just keep the camera moving when it's on him. So then we also have in here, I like to call him out. Let's see where he is. The Texas Carnivore, wherever he is. Here he is. This is my dad, but my mechanic, my how do you say that? My fix-all, the guy that can think outside the box and come up with different ideas. And I actually got on Dad. Monica heard this the other day, but I'll say it for folks out there. Dad does some really
neat things.
Very, very interesting. Like I said, think outside the box things. And the thing with him is he's not a YouTuber. So the problem is he always likes to do things because he's retired while I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him the last time, I was like, man, you should have let me know. I could have tried to record it. And then so he came over. He's working on another project now for me. And he just found some scraps out in the barn because we have a scrap pile of metal, wood, all kinds of stuff out there so that when we need to build something, he's ready to go. And so what?
The time. What's your time?
What time is he coming on?
8:30.
Oh, okay. He's coming on early.
He's coming at 8:30, yes.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. So Dad's working on a project, and that's a video that I want to show you because it is going to be a helpful hack for anybody that deals with cattle that may or may not be on their property and or pigs, goats. This will open up your eyes to a lot of different things. It's going to be kind of cool. So, and this Barry is definitely not going to want to miss this one because it's going to help us when we have to go find all these head of cattle out in the middle of a pasture somewhere. So this is going to be cool. Let's see. So we're going to have our guest on a little bit earlier tonight at 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Coast. East over on the East Coast. There we go. Anyway.
Sorry, I got kids asking me questions.
All right. So while we're waiting for him to come in, we'll keep addressing folks in here as we're getting ready.
Extended trailer wiring, so Chris should be good. Oh, there you go.
So that's a good example. We loaned out our trailer to another cattle friend of ours, and there was some wiring that wasn't quite working properly. So Dad was able to troubleshoot, found the problem, rewired it, ran into another problem, and so he has fixed this problem.
He's amazing.
And a lot of what we do on the farm is we talk about a lot of teamwork. When we look at what we do, we can't do it by ourselves. I was talking to my brother-in-law Barry about that this past weekend about some stuff with Monica hauling the trailer, and he was willing to help. And like I told him, it's always a thing for me to always try to train people everything so that in the event that I'm not around or Dad's not around or Barry's not around or Monica's not around. And that's why I try to learn from Monica in the garden. I try to teach what I can with the cattle so that we can do that. So
did you see Old Sweet's Farm?
I see that. So congratulations really awesome. To Rich.
Yeah,
way to go, man.
Great.
Really proud of you, man. You jumped up there quick, and I'm glad to see that, man. It's awesome.
Trailers always had wiring issues. Just ask my husband. It's true.
So true. It's one of those things that, and that's what makes our team work so well because of all the skills that all of us bring in our own kind of way. Because with Dad being retired, I don't think he's really retired. He's doing a lot of work for us around here, and it cannot go without us acknowledging how much help he really gives us. Mm-hmm. So we're really appreciative of that. Yeah. So we're getting ready to bring our new guest up. We'll go ahead and put him in the stream so that he's sharing the screen with us. But he's drinking something, which is fine.
I was say, wait until he starts drinking.
No,
Eric.
No,
rude.
No, we got to bring him up.
You're so rude.
This is live. This is live action right here. We're going to bring him up, and when we bring him up, I'll introduce him so he can continue to drink. Let's see.
Right. Got to hydrate.
Here we go.
You gonna do that one, or you gonna do the other one? Oh, there you go. That's good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sorry,
I passed the test.
You passed the test. Sorry, I didn't change it the other day, so that's what I'm trying to make sure it was good for him too.
All right, so we want to introduce Ryan Cook, and he is from Heavenly Hills Homestead.
Heavenly Hills Homestead.
Heavenly Hills Homestead.
Love it.
I don't even know who this guy is. I'm gonna be real honest. Okay. I just said I haven't been able to watch the videos. Monica said you got to check this guy out. And I usually go with what Monica says. And most importantly, this guy has got to pass the sniff test, so to speak.
The sniff test?
It's a saying.
That's weird.
Anyway, why? Because West Virginia, baby.
Oh, yeah, he's got his WB.
Let's go.
I should have known when he got that one. I wasn't thinking of it. I was like, oh, that's what it is when I just looked over and saw.
So welcome to the show, Ryan. We appreciate you coming on with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. So Monica told me that, and normally I don't like this, but Monica told me that she was on a long conversation with another man the other day. And I'm like, wait, what?
No, I did not say it like that. I said, I was like, yeah, no, I got on there to check everything out. We ended up chatting for almost an hour. I said, he was so sweet. He's such a nice guy. I cannot wait for you to chat with him because he's got lots of good things to say and good things to share with everybody. So, yeah.
Try to.
Yeah. So Monica gave me a little bit of rundown. And so first of all, we want to thank you for your service to the country. We realize that no matter how good or bad things may seem to be, it's people like you that have given us the freedoms to be able to make a decision of how we want to talk, how we want to conduct our lives. And so I appreciate that. So one of my uncles was in Vietnam, and I had asked him once about that with the way that he was treated and things like that. And, and he said that he knew that when he was fighting for the freedoms of the people. And that meant that whether they agreed with him or not, that's what he fought for. So,
and that's very true. And it goes a lot deeper than that too, because, when you have that understanding when you go into the military, especially if you go in during the war, or like a wartime, you understand that that's your job, right? Is to defend the country. But there's another aspect that I think a lot of people don't know about or might even just overlook, is that when we get over there, we're not actually fighting for the back home stuff anymore. We're fighting for one another that's right beside us because they've become our family. Mm-hmm. And so we literally don't even think about everything that goes on at home or anything like that. We're focused on the mission and making sure each other get back safe and alive. So, I mean, there's so much that goes into being in the military and stuff. And it's really such a dynamic atmosphere and job. But at the same time, I think most people just see it for what it is. You know what I mean? It's you're in the military, but it's much deeper than that. And a lot more complex. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for people like your uncle because, if it wasn't for them and all the things that they had to go through and endure, during the Vietnam era, especially, we wouldn't have had what we had when we came home. Right. I'm very thankful that I didn't come home to what they did come home to. So, it's, yeah. So tell your uncle I said thank him, and hats off to him. If he needs anything, I can help him out with some seeds and stuff too. So if he ever wants to play around and grow some stuff, I'll help him out, man.
There you go. Okay, so that's a great kickoff for something that I think you do that is absolutely amazing, and I wanted to make sure we touched on that before I forgot anything else. Because again, I'm a little scattered, so I'll get from one place to another. I'll ping off of it, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, we already discussed this. He was so sweet. He was like, he's like, I need to say something real quick because if you don't mind me sharing, you have a traumatic brain injury, right? So he says, I have a TBI. TBI is what you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he said, well, with the TBI, sometimes I would just need to say something while I'm saying it. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. And he's like, it's traumatic brain injury. I said, okay, well, I don't have that. So I have no real excuse, but I'm a little ADHD. So I just go everywhere anyway. So we're good. We're on the same page here.
Right. We're on the same page.
Look, Monica watched something on Instagram or something.
No,
so now
I'm saying this is how my brain, no, I'm not self-doing anything, but this is how I work,
she's
right?
Self-diagnosing.
It's cool. You can laugh at me. Either way, here's the thing. I think it's important because you do something really awesome, and you have a Facebook group that helps out fellow veterans. And I think it's awesome. And we talk a little bit about that because it's so cool that you have this and you're doing this, and tell everybody what you do through this.
Okay. So, so last year was my first year growing giant stuff. Like I tried in 2020, I bought some store-bought seeds and tried. They don't ever do that. If you want to grow real giants, get a hold of a real giant grower and get seeds from them. But that is a caveat to something else. So anyways.
So what giants do you grow?
Huh?
What giants have you grown so far? Just so everybody doesn't know.
Giant pumpkins, giant butternuts, giant tomato. I tried giant watermelon last year. That didn't work out. Is that it? No, giant bushel gourds and giant long gourds and giant sunflowers. So I got the state record for giant sunflower. I got the world record for a giant butternut. So
wait.
That's so cool.
You got the world record for the butternut squash?
Yep. 83 pounds, 1 ounce. And that's a story I want to kind of save for here in a minute, but it happened. It's God. So I'll talk about that in a second. So,
okay, so you grow giant vegetables, and so back to the vegetable thing. Yeah, we'll stay focused.
So anyway, when I grew this, I was just kind of shocked and stuff. So I was like, well, I'm getting sponsors for fertilizer and things, and I want to get back because in West Virginia, as well as I do, there's nothing here for anybody, right? And the ones that do come home and stay here, it's either coal mines or some really bad job that you don't want to work at, or welfare. I mean, I'm not knocking people on welfare. I'm not, because that's just how West Virginia is. But there's nothing here. So, but veterans come home. Veterans want to live here, right? This is their home. And we have the highest drug addiction in veterans here in West Virginia, right? And not only that, but we also have the highest suicide rate of veterans and it's usually accidental suicide by overdose. And so I was sitting there and being a former user of whatever I get my hands on after I got back from the Army and drinking and whatever, right before I found Jesus, I understood that, okay, now this is relaxing to me. This is helpful for me. This does a lot of stuff for me. So how do I translate this from it being fun for me to helping somebody else? And so God just laid it on my heart, and he said, I want call the group A Skill to Heal. And I was like, well, that's pretty good. So I called it that. And everybody ended up liking the name, right? And it's not my name. I didn't come up with that. I didn't come up with the one for Heavenly Hills Homestead. God gave me that. But what I've done is I said, okay, any veteran that gets a hold of me and it wants to grow, instead of me selling the seeds to them, what I'll do is I'll have them send me a bubble envelope, right? And I'll shove it full of seeds of whatever seeds they want, right? Like I'll give them a list of seeds that they want to grow, and if that I have on hand, and I'll give them the seeds. And then one of the sponsors that I got, he said, well, if you're going to do that, then I want to give them free fertilizer, right? So I was like, okay, sure. Now that's been a little bumpy with that sponsor. At first, he's treating me good and stuff, but he wanted everybody to join. He helped make me a flyer and stuff, and I put flyers up, sent them to different states and stuff like that to be put up in VA hospitals and everything. And anyways, I guess the supply chains broke down, and then after the supply chains broke down, the freight costs went way up. So we're just now getting fertilizer. Like today, I just got a shipment, a whole pallet full of fertilizer. We probably should have had it back in March or April, because that was the time frame that we were thinking, to make sure that everybody, if they were down south, because they get to grow earlier, to make sure they had it for their, the beginning of their season, and everybody could be taken care of up north and stuff. But anyhow, everybody's got their fertilizer now that's in the group so far. And they've got their seeds if they've contacted me, and sent me a bubble. They've got their seeds and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it just shows you, what God can do when you're a willing vessel and willing to listen to that still small voice and follow through with things. Because when I'm out there in the garden, I could be, waking up from a horrible night of nightmares, right? And I can go out in the garden and I can see the beauty in it, right? Because when you're in war, I was raised up in church my whole life, right? But after I come back from Iraq, I was convinced there was no God. Because how could a loving God that I've heard about all my life let me witness this stuff, let my friends die at 19, 20 years old, 18 years old, right? And me see these starving children and children being killed because they wouldn't do what, the terrorists wanted them to do and all these other things, right? So you come back with this mindset of, well, how is there a God and all, that he loves us all and all this stuff? And I think that's a question for a lot of people, even today, even if they've not been to war. Well, how could a loving God let Ukraine and Russia be doing this stuff, right? But I think what a lot of people forget is we have free will, and we can do as we choose to do, and so I had come from that kind of background when I got back from Iraq, but now I can go out in the garden and I can be like, okay, I can see, creation, right? I can see why God loves us so much, right? I mean, if you can only imagine taking a little pumpkin seed, I mean, like that big, putting it in dirt, babying it, right? And growing this big plant, and then that plant turning out to put you up a 1,000+ pound pumpkin, right? And you're sitting there and you baby it this whole, I mean, if you just relate that to, like how God treats us, how God nurtures us, how when we, first get saved and God just brings us up and rears us, and shows us his way. He's not this harsh God wanting to punish us and stuff. So I just wanted to, in my own way, be able to not be so pushy with God, not cram it down their throats, right? I can relate to them with the war and everything, but at the same time, I have something I think I can offer them, a better life, right? A different avenue that they don't have to be depressed and miserable and suicidal and on drugs and everything, that they can have hope, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what Jesus is. He's hope for us, right? So that's where all that come from, and why I like doing it. So I mean, I hope that explained it well enough.
Yeah, it was good.
A little long, drawn out, but
no, I think it's great. I think the thing is too, and the reason why I wanted you to mention it is because when we were talking, I had asked you about it. I think it's great because, like you said, when you come back from an environment like that, you've really sometimes you dig into the wrong things, and you need to kind of give an opportunity for people to dig into something that's good and something that is of God, nature and gardening, and just getting your hands dirty and connecting with something that's much bigger than you are, something you really don't have as much control over. You can plan to have giant whatever it is,
right?
But
exactly,
only the Lord can really control that. You can put in as much fertilizer and as much good things and wonderful things as you can do, but only God is going to grow that to the ability that he wants it to grow. And I think it's awesome that you're trying to help other people dig into these good things. And so I wanted to make sure I put it out there, because if you are interested, if anybody in the chat is interested in donating seeds to A Skill to Heal, to Ryan, to be able to have on hand, ready to distribute to anyone that asks for seeds, you can very easily mail him those seeds. And do you have a way to get in touch? How can people get in contact with you? Is there an email on your page?
Yeah, on my YouTube, I believe my email's up. It's babydrill2119@yahoo.com.
I see your address, your PO box right there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there's the PO box.
I'm gonna stick that in there.
Or they can email me, or they can hit me up in Messenger on the Heavenly Hills Homestead page, which is directly connected to the Skill to Heal page. So, but that's a good caveat though that you
and
have.
they can be any seeds, right? They don't have to be any giants, any seeds, because in your group, it's not just about the giants. It's about, that's a really good way to kind of get your foot in the door to talk to people, is to say, hey, I grow giant, whatever. Because I mean, seriously, that's pretty cool, right? I'm all like, this dude grows giant stuff. I mean, what really resonated with me was the fact that his granddad did it too. And it was really cool to see someone from West Virginia growing giants. I just thought it was really interesting. And I ended up catching you on a homesteading YouTube Facebook group. I saw what you were doing and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's awesome. I need to get him on the channel. So it's kind of neat the way God worked that out. But I just want to make sure that people can reach out to you and give you seeds if it's something that they feel led to do. Just from hearing about this, I just think it's such a great opportunity for us to be able to give towards something so that you have seeds now in your pocket ready to give to all these people that are in need. And hopefully as your group grows, you'll have those resources. So
yeah. And hopefully hopefully it'll get bigger and what more established, you know,
sure.
Cause it's in the beginning, you know, I just started this back in the winter. So hopefully it'll start doing a whole lot better. But you had a really good caveat there a minute ago, you know, like when you said we have no control over what goes on out there, you know, and you're right. So the butternut, how this all came to be was I wanted to grow these giant pumpkins last year. And then I was on gardening. Is it Giant Gardener or Gardening Giants or something? Garden of Giants or something like that on Facebook I was on. And this guy's sitting here with this 55-pound butternut, you know, and, the world record. And I'm like, I kind of want to do that, man. That's pretty, yeah. So I reached out to him. I'm like, hey, how do I get some seeds? He's like, well, you know, it's send me $19 and, you know, that'll pay for shipping and the seeds. I said, okay. So I get 4 seeds and one of them is busted. Don't even do anything. The other 3 germinate, but one of them only germinated halfway. And then it died. And then a second one, I was spraying it with a spray bottle and it literally snapped off at the soil level. So I had to graft it back to its root stem. And so I'm like, I only have one good plant left. That's all I have now. So I planted the grafted one and I planted the good one. And that good one, I mean, and I didn't really have a lot of space either. Like you would have to go back to last year's videos and look. I mean, it was really crammed. And I was like, man, I just, you know, what am I going to do? Well, I found one that was growing and it was growing in the corner of the garden because at the time I had cattle panels all around my garden and it was growing in that corner. And I was like, man, well, there was some other guys growing it trying to break the record too. And I get a little, you know, like not competitive. I just get intrigued. No, it's not. I just want to know what it weighs, right? I get like super intrigued on the weight, right? Like, I gotta know. So I go out there with a scale because one guy weighed his and it was like 60 some pounds. And I was like, I got to know, man. I just got to know. So I go out there and I stick a scale underneath it. And the scale's not, you know, it's one that has to have all 4 corners touching in order for it to get an accurate reading. So I start packing sand underneath this thing and I snap it off of the main vine. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like, well, it's already off. I'll just take it to the porch and wait. So I take it to the porch and it was 60 pounds and something, right? And I'm like, yes, I beat the world record. So I'm getting a hold of everybody, you know, and we get it rushed. I had a buddy of mine rush it to a weigh-off for me in Kentucky that weekend. I couldn't go, but he was going. So I had him take it. So I was officially the first one to break the world record last year of the 55.5 pound. And it is set for the week. So it was 59 pounds when it got there to the weigh-off. Well, it got broke 3 other times that day, I think. And then the following weekend, it got broke twice. Well, it finally got up to like 82 pounds. Wow. And this was in September. All the weigh-offs are done by the middle of October, right? So I find one ovary, right, this big on like September 23rd or something. and I pollinate it. Okay. And 38 days later, that fruit went from ovary that big to 83 pounds and 1 ounce in 38 days. Nobody could believe it. Like everybody's had grown all summer, you know, and reached, and it wasn't even halfway done growing, because they grow for 70 to 75 days. So it was 38 days old and 83 pounds and 1 ounce. And it was on October 31st that I took it and got it officially weighed and everything, so I could get it put in the Guinness Book of World Records. But that was a fiasco too, because there was no more weigh-offs left. So I had to get a state police officer to come as a government official, and I had to get state seals on the scales. So I had to go to a UPS shop for that, and I had to have all kinds of witnesses there and everything, because there was no weigh-offs left. So I had to pretty much make my own weigh-off, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then when everybody got the news that day, and they were like, "Well, how old was it?" And they were like, "It's 38 days old." And they were mind blown. I was like, "You can go back and watch the videos, and you'll see." Because I was being real secretive of it toward the end, right? I just wanted to be quiet. Yeah. And only the close people to me knew, you know, what was going on and stuff. And so I mean, I know there's just no way that thing grew that big in 38 days without God. So that was just crazy. So yeah, you're right. We can give it all that we want to give it. We can tend to do whatever, but ultimately it's God's decision on how big that's going to get, you know?
Exactly. So, okay. So what do you do with a squash that big besides save seeds? Do you do anything with it besides save seeds?
You feed a whole city, right? Like butternut soup.
Yeah. You can eat that stuff. The butternut wasn't ripe enough, so we didn't eat it. I just fed it to the goats. Excuse me. So most of the time what I do with the giant stuff is, if people got cows or goats or something like that, it's a natural dewormer. So we just give it to the animals and worm them all out, you know. It's just the sugar content in a giant pumpkin is very, very low. So it wouldn't make good pies or anything like that. But everybody else that grew the giant butternuts that had ripe ones ate them, and they said they were really good. So
wow. Well, I was gonna say, you know, we pick our butternut squash sometimes when they're green. And they taste really good. They taste just as good as if it was, I mean, they don't taste the same. They're not as sweet, but they still have a really good flavor, and they're soft. So mine are like this big though. So, you know, that's normal.
Are yours they're like almost like a gourd looking almost? They're like,
so it kind of comes down, then comes out a little bit. Right.
Yeah. So I forget the name of those, but the ones that we're growing are the Rosalina violinus or something like that.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, it's a Italian, I think, or whatever. They kind of grow like almost like a cylinder, like a. It looks kind of like a 8 is what it looks like. You have this great big top, it gets kind of slim in the bottom, and then gets fat again at the bottom.
Oh,
so they're pretty cool.
All right, so I have to ask. I'm looking. Sorry, we have your picture. We have multiple screens going on.
I have another screen behind it, and I have a picture of you holding the pumpkin or the gourd.
When you talk about the size of this thing, can you give it something that people would be able to identify, like the size of this? You know, is it like the size of a basketball or?
Oh yeah, no. It's way bigger than basketball. All right, so you can set it inside. You can barely set it inside of a 5-gallon bucket on both ends, and put 2 5-gallon buckets on there, and it would have still been taller than the 2 5-gallon buckets.
What?
Yeah.
You'll have to go check out his YouTube videos, because you can see the thing. You can see a lot of his giants on the YouTube. Now, do you have one? I didn't see do you actually have one of the world record?
Yeah, there is one of it being weighed. It's actually of me weighing it. And here's what's funny. I weighed it at the house, and I knew it weighed 83.3 pounds here at the house, right? I get it there, and we put it on the scale, and I've got a horticultural doctor on the phone with me doing video, and then we have a GPC representative, which is the Giant Pumpkin Commonwealth or Great Pumpkin Commonwealth representative. He's there on another phone, right? And videoing, and they inspected it. We had to take the phones around it, let them inspect it, make sure there was no cracks or anything illegal about it, right? So anyways, we get it up there on the scale, and it says 79 pounds. And I'm like, what? No, that ain't right. I just waited at the house. So my buddy Chris is like, oh, well, it says 79. And the guy on the GPC rep's like, well, tell him congratulations on second place, And I'm like, no. So the horticultural doctor, I got him sitting over on a tripod over on the counter. And he's like, hey. And nobody's hearing him because we're all upset. And he's like, hey. He's like, the fruit is sitting half on the counter. Like it's touching the counter. He said,
oh, that's cool.
Try to position it and get it off the counter. So we sit there and we try to stand it up. Can't stand it up. But I can see Chris's face when we stood it up. It's wobbling. But obviously he was like, well, it's going up there, So, and we figure out to lay it catty corner and get it off of that counter. And when we did, it was 83 pounds, 1 ounce. So
I actually just pulled the video up behind on this big screen over here so I can see it. And what I did was I actually copied it and I pasted, hey, Best Yet Journey. And gathered together. I put the link for that actual video in the chat. So if you want to go see that specific video, it's actually,
it's up there.
Yeah, it's actually on November 1st of 2021. He posted it. And the thing is that you have a lot of videos. So people are going to have to scroll through videos if they're just traveling through. Because you are posting like basically every day.
Mm-hmm.
You are like, and there's so much cool content on your channel too. And I think that's something that I really want to make sure people saw too. Sorry, I'm going to go back to your channel, but you have a lot of good content on your channel. You talk about giant pumpkins and things like that and giant watermelons and all the different stuff, but you really do kind of document your journey as a gardener, as a farmer, as someone that's growing, in the hills of West Virginia. And you're really giving, I like the perspective and the view you're giving of this beautiful countryside because, one of your videos, you're like, and I started planting and of course it's going to rain. And you didn't just say it's going to rain. Look at this. And you were like, when the storm comes from this way, it's a doozy. When it comes from this way, it's not too bad. And it gives a lot of perspective because of people that haven't been in the mountains like that, it doesn't make as much sense. We've been in the mountains. We've spent evenings in the mountains where you're up so high in West Virginia. You feel like when you hear that thunder rattle, it rattles the whole house, because you're like that much closer to God. You're like, okay, we're way up here. All the rest of the people are way down here. Like you just feel the thunder because you were so high. And then here living in Texas, it's just different. And so there are a lot of people that don't get that. And I just love that you show more than just your garden. You show the area. You have a drone that you pull into it when you first start. So how many acres do you actually have total with your land?
Well, that was the other part that I wanted to kind of encourage people with, right? So we only have 1 acre. So everything only happens on 1 acre. So everybody that's always, I can't do it because I only have a half acre or I only have an acre or whatever. That was one of the biggest things that I wanted to show was I think a lot of the homesteaders, and I don't know if it's on purpose or just, an accidental thing that, because as people, we sometimes we talk, like a lot of giant growers make it sound like if you don't do it just like this, you can't grow giants, right? So, and I don't know that they do it on purpose, but I think a lot of homesteaders have given this perception that if you don't have X amount of land, right, and you don't have X amount of chickens and you don't have, this big of a garden and so on and so forth, then you're not going to be a homesteader, right? Or you can't be successful unless you have so much room. And it's not true. Like I can do enough here on an acre to feed my family if I want completely. Now, am I still going to have to rely on some things from the store? Yeah. But I mean, you take what you got and you use it, and then you grow, right? So, I mean, I'm constantly talking to the guy behind me. Hey, when you want to get rid of this? He's an old guy. Come on, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Right? And not like trying to push him. Just letting him know I'm seriously interested in this. So when you're tired of going out there on the tractor after you've spent hours on the bulldozer all day pushing slate at the coal, then let me buy it off of you. Let me lease it off of you. Something, right? A lot of these guys, the land, they're tied to it, but their kids, they don't care. And that's sad too, right? Because they're handing them the keys to a kingdom that they have had in their family for generations. And the kid or the grandkid just comes along and says, thanks, throws up a set of deuces and goes and gets the cash from whoever gives it to them. Right. And I'm trying to show my kids, like, if I work my butt off for all this and y'all ever do that with my stuff, I am going to come back. Right. Like, and be like, hey, because you see that too often, right? Like, especially in this area. I'm in one of the biggest farming communities there is in West Virginia. And, you approach these guys. I try to approach them with the mindset of being an old timer in a young man's body, right? Because that's just kind of how I am. And, I go and I talk to them and stuff. And I say, hey, you ever thought about leasing that or what? Oh, it's the grandkids. Yeah. What's their plans with it? And they just kind of, draw a real big, deep breath and sigh. And I just don't know, so, I mean, like I said, I don't try to push them, but I let them know I'm interested in it, that way, because I want to preserve it. I don't want to break it up or bust it up. If one of them give me the opportunity to buy, I mean, because like you said in the beginning of the videos, you can see the drone come up and fly. Yeah. And I mean, that big field that's right behind the house, that used to be a cornfield. They used to plant corn there every year. Now it's a hay field, right? And the older guy that owns it don't want to do anything with it. He's going to give it to his grandson. That and about, I don't know, 4 miles worth of land just like it. Yeah. Wow. So, I just want to buy as much of it right there around me as I can and kind of preserve it, and keep it like it is, but farm it because that's what it's meant to be. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say that, I actually was talking to a lady about that today because I feel like people probably our age, so I'm 44, people probably about
Wait, how old are you?
44.
Oh, okay. I just make sure we're on the same page. Make sure you're telling the right numbers.
You don't know how old I am? Uh-huh. You better know, girl.
I know how old you are.
So people from like the mid 30s to mid 40s, I feel like there's like that 10-year gap where they're at a kind of like an interesting point in life where they're trying to get back to, and it's a little bit different, maybe like where you are, maybe, I don't know. But a lot of people left that country mentality, right? Yep. Everybody wants to go off to college. They want to go, be educated and then work in the cities. And so they miss out on the opportunity to be able to grow a lot of their own things. Yep. You get to a certain point in life, it's kind of like us. So, my tie to West Virginia is my dad. He was born and raised there. He went into the military. Once he got out of the military, he was trying to find a place to land. He tried West Virginia, but there was just no work there.
Yeah.
Right. And so we wound up living in the suburbs, and, you just don't farm anymore. But people our age are now trying to get back to what their grandparents did. And yep. the downside to that is that the generation that missed that is not there to teach now. Nope. Right. Because they've either forgotten it, or they're too old, or they just don't want anything to do with it. Right. And so I see like this, right
there,
this turn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right here to this point right here. He says too many kids are pressured to go to college. And, it's interesting because
you get so in debt, you can't buy land anywhere.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's this deep abyss that you're falling into that the world is encouraging. And it's kind of like this past weekend, if anybody's listening to this that was at the graduation with my daughter, I apologize if I'm talking to you. But one person in particular, or a couple people, were going to college to major in piano.
I hope nobody's listening.
But I mean, no, think about that for a second. Like, that market is so small, but you're going to come out of college so in debt.
Maybe not. Maybe they have scholarship.
And you may not even.
These are homeschool kids.
You may not even be able to utilize.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
You could be a piano teacher in the private industry. You know, maybe as a woman.
Bring it down a
I'm
notch.
just saying it's possible. These are homeschool kids.
It's an example. Okay, you don't. I'm not saying it to knock that person if that's what they want to do.
No. I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, because, I mean, that, and I'm not being mean, but that's almost like saying I'm going to go to college to be an underwater basket weaver. You know, like,
well, look, there is a market for that now. Don't you be knocking those.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, and I'm not being mean, or you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to tell somebody their dream they shouldn't do what they feel their dream is, right? I mean, they say you know, the old saying, if you got a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right? So I mean, if that's your passion and stuff, but at the same time, you've got to think, what's going to pay the bills?
Correct.
You know,
and yes, and that's exactly what I was saying when I was talking to some folks. Is I'm not a dream killer.
Right.
If that's what you want to do, you go and do it. However, you have to think of the big picture. So somebody is paying that bill.
Right.
And the problem, and this is just my 2 cents worth, whoever said that, I'll take that phrasing. My 2 cents worth is that it's typically mom and dad. And then mom and dad are stuck working until they're mid to late 70s because they're trying to pay all this debt off.
Right.
You know, like I told people, I've told my kids, with some of my younger brothers, I've told them this, that if you want to go to school for whatever it may be, find a job in that industry. Most of the time, it's a write-off for that company to put you through the classes. So why not let somebody else pay for it?
Right.
And then that way you're not in debt. Because look, the outcome of that, you know, they say that the 2 top reasons for most marriages that they don't survive is sex and money.
Yep.
And if you go into a marriage in debt, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, how does that work?
I mean, you can't even afford a house. And here's the thing: how can you build a family? And you know,
which is another reason why people are waiting until like 40 years old to start a family.
Well, and well, I mean, yeah, exactly. But kind of put our tinfoils hat on for a minute, right? And think about, do they purposefully do that in order to continuously destroy the family, right? In order to manufacture a way to where they don't have to just come out and tell you you're not allowed to have X amount of kids anymore, right?
Nope.
You just naturally don't want to have any kids because you can't afford them, right? So gone are the days when families used to have, you know, 10, 12, 17 kids, right? And mommy would just have kid after kid after kid after kid and hand the kids to the older children, right? And the older children would raise them up. I mean,
I feel judged.
Why do you feel judged?
We got 8 kids.
Well, you know, we 8 kids, right?
Bravo, bro. Bravo.
I don't hand my kids off usually. I usually do stick with it and raise them myself.
Abigail may be in here, so you need to be careful.
You know, I better be nice.
Well, what I'll say is Drops said it earlier about breaking that enslavement of money and debt, and that is so true. It's important, and you know, and that's the great thing. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't know if we're going on a rabbit trail with this or what, but maybe that's one of the things as to why they don't like you growing your own vegetables, is because when you are dependent on something else, then there is more control.
Right.
And so, you know, for me, when somebody made a comment here, did I say sex? I mean, is that something that?
No, because that Best Yet Journey, but Brampton Gardner said something. Oh, yeah, Brampton Gardner said, you woke Lydia up over there at Best Yet Journey. But
So,
Brampton Gardner said something else too.
But
she wanted that on the screen. There you go, Rochelle.
Okay, Monica, come on now. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's important. I think that as parents that we are teaching those sorts of things.
Right.
And what I'll say is that aside from gardening, in case my mom and dad are in here, we didn't grow up gardening at all. We didn't grow up on the farm. We didn't grow up around those animals. But you know what? The skills of learning how to work hard is not limited only to people who live on a farm.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, I lived on a like eighth of an acre property, maybe something like that when I was growing up as a kid. And that's what we've always tried to encourage people to do on our lives and in different videos is you don't need to have 100 acres or 1,000 acres, 1 acre. I mean, there's some people in here that have very small properties that if you watch their videos, you have absolutely no idea that it's that little amount of land.
Well, it's just like if you look for, you look at Heather Lynn. She's a great example of that. She lives in a smaller space. She does a lot of container gardening, and that's awesome because she has a smaller space she's gardening in, and you don't have to be, you can be in an apartment, you can be anywhere and still have a homestead and just be taught these things. And some of these traditions that we were actually discussing in our podcast last night, some of these traditions are not being passed on. They're not being handed down. And the love and the desire to garden or to farm, to take care of the things, to be good stewards overall is not being taught. So many people grow up with anxiety and depression and all these things because they're not taught how to deal with them. Their emotions, they're not taught how to deal with the time. They're not taught how to be good stewards over all of it.
Right.
And so they deal with a lot of emotional baggage from that and a lot of money troubles and a lot of just everything because we're not teaching like we should have.
Right.
Or maybe our parents weren't teaching like they should have. It's just such a breakdown. But I'm hoping that, we can teach our kids. And by doing this great thing that we're doing now, that even out of 8 kids, even if one of them goes into a farming or a gardening or an agricultural trade, that would make me happy too. Now, I don't care what my kids do as long as they do what they do and they do it for the Lord.
Right. That's the main part right there. Right. At the end of the day, that they're doing whatever it is that they decide to do and that they're glorifying God at the end of it.
Yep.
My little way of wanting to do things is I want to buy up as much property around here as close to me as I can. So I can go, okay, here's the keys to your little kingdom. Here's your keys.
There you go.
And here's your keys to your little kingdom. Now, here's what we got to do. We have to use all of this. Eventually I would like to have a sawmill, so we can have our own sawmill stuff going on, right? Because I like to do woodworking and stuff. I would like him to go to school to learn, maybe we need an actual company. So maybe I need a lawyer, maybe I need, so they could still go and then still be beneficial and own the company or whatever, right? So that's what I want at the end of the day, but I'll do whatever God ends up, allowing. But that's my dream, is to have something that we all work together. We're all close, knit, and I'm able to give them something that wasn't given to me, nor was it desired, right? Because I think a lot of that has to do with the desires, right, of our parents. And so many of us grew up with, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we grew up with maybe selfish parents, right? They wanted what they wanted, right? And we were just the baggage that came along with it, right? And that's not to say my mom and dad didn't love me, because they did. But my love for my kids and their love for me and my brothers and sisters is different, right? Because it was, okay, you're 18, you have to fend for yourself and figure it out, right? Whereas I want to help them plan for the future, and I want to see that far down the road to where I can say, okay, if I can get A, B, and C done, then they can have something I didn't, right? But along the way, not just give it to them, because easy come, easy go, right? but make them have to be responsible, make them work for it, right? In certain ways. So like my oldest boy, we have a deal. If he goes out and he helps me work in the garden and do all the things with all the giants and stuff, then what I do is I let him take all the extra produce after we've picked it for the day and we've decided what we can and what we won't. I let him take all that and set up in front of the house and sell all of it. And he keeps all the money. Right.
That's cool.
But he has to help me in order to get that opportunity. Right. And if he don't help, then he don't get that opportunity. And so I think if we taught our kids stuff like that, it would be valuable to them. And maybe we wouldn't have so many kids going, me, I, right. And that selfishness continuing, right? Because that all that ends up being is generational curses. I mean, I don't know if y'all ever have studied into those, right? But I mean, that's what it ends up being is we end up giving generational curses to our kids, and they just keep passing it down. So I think somebody mentioned something earlier about enslavement, right, to money and stuff. So
yeah,
right.
I think that's a good thing that his parents have really helped us with too. You know, his dad is such, like he pointed out earlier, you know, his dad he's such a hard worker, and he's such a work ethic that's really been instilled in Eric. And I can already see that work ethic being handed down to our kids in a good way. You know, there's sometimes you wonder if you've been teaching your kids anything, you're like, okay, did they get it? And when you see adult children doing big things, doing honorable things, and working hard for the Lord, it really gives you such satisfaction because you feel like you've kind of like done something. You're like, okay, good, I did it right. I mean, you know, the first goal is always to see my child be baptized, because I feel like that's one huge goal. But to see them, you know, grow up and work and work and do, you know, seek God's face and all those things, that really helps too. That really helps you feel good as a parent.
Well, and that's the advantage. I encourage everybody to have 8 to 10 kids because
we're done at 8.
But
we're
because
good.
by the time the older ones are adults, then you can really be fine tuned with how you're raising the last couple. So you really got it together by then.
Oh my gosh! Now, how many kids do you have, Ryan? If you don't mind sharing.
So, we have. Make sure they're all in bed. So we have 4. Our first one passed away, so we don't. The oldest one don't know about it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was 38 weeks utero, and
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was rough, and then 2 years later, the oldest one come, Jaden, and then it was a long time, and we didn't think any more kids were coming, right? And I'd gotten church and everything, and had started preaching, and you know, we just wanted more kids. You know, there's even though we loved Jaden, and Jaden was I'm not trying to say he didn't feel the void, right? But when you got an explosive amount of love, I guess is the only thing you'd really say, right? That you want kids. I mean, obviously you guys understand what I'm talking about. And
now he never wanted any of them. No, I'm just joking.
And so there was this yearning for more kids, and more kids just wasn't happening. And so about a year into you know, being saved, she gets pregnant with our little girl, Kira, and she was born on my birthday. And so we were like, all right, we got a little girl, you know, and when I found out she was a girl, I was just like, yeah, I wanted a boy, you know, I got to get them boys, and you know, but I wouldn't trade her for a million boys. You know, she follows daddy around, you know, and she's got daddy wrapped, right? So, but it was, we were moving from our old house to this one, and Annie comes out. Annie's my wife. She comes out and she's like, got this face, and I'm like, what's wrong? You just had to do it. What did I do? And Kira's only like 5-6 months old, you know? Yeah. And I'm like, well,
I know this feeling deep
Right.
down in my soul.
It's like this, and pulls that, pregnancy test. And I'm like, oh, no, you're picked. No, I'm not. I mean, she was upset, I'm like, oh man, so, we went to the doctor and I asked, I said, hey, look, she's been high risk ever since the first time. And, is this going to cause any problems? Oh, no, everything will be fine. Okay. So we find out that Malachi was going to be a boy. And that night her water broke at 16 weeks utero. And yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Excuse me. And so we were just like, not again, right? Like, surely God, you're not going to do this, right? And we go to the hospital, and the hospital's like, well, you're just going to have to go home and see your OB, the next day or whatever. So we go to him the next day, and he's like, yep, water broke. There's no water in there because they did an ultrasound. Go over to the hospital here, and they'll set you up for an abortion, pretty much. And I said, no. I said, he's still got a heartbeat. Yeah, he's still got a heartbeat, but he'll have this problem and this problem and this problem. If he even makes it, she'll probably abort him without any medicine. I said, nah, that's not how we do it. I said, we pray and we seek God's face about this, and God's will be done, and we're not going to, God will take him, And so she spent 2 weeks in the hospital trying to build her fluids up and taking antibiotics and stuff, and trying, to do the best she could to keep him alive. And anyways, they let her home. About 2-3 weeks later, she had another spell, went back in, stayed over the weekend, came home, bed rest pretty much, wasn't allowed to do anything. And January the 1st, we went out. Let her drive, didn't let her get out, just let her drive, and I'd get out and do everything and stuff. And she'd come home and she just gushes blood. And we thought he was dead. And so we're like freaking out. And we're like, well, I'm trying to call people because she was supposed to go down to one hospital and be helivac'd to the Women's and Children's Hospital. The ambulance shows up and says, no, we're not taking her down there. We're taking her to this other one. Well, that's where we lost our first one at. We didn't want to go there,
Oh.
And so that's where they took her. And once they got her stable and understood that he was stable, right, for what it was, they helivac'd her down to the Women's and Children's Hospital. And we thought we were going to be there till April when his due date was. But he and God both had other plans, and he showed up on my birthday again. So I have 2 kids a year apart, born on my birthday.
What in the world?
Yeah. So,
oh my goodness.
God,
So how many weeks was he when he was finally born?
27.
Wow. What a miracle. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's called P-prom is what it is when their water breaks early like that.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but my wife's on some of these groups and she tries to, encourage them and stuff. And, because the doctors don't give them any hope. The doctors give zero hope. They just go and get it over with and done with. And, I think we have desensitized ourselves so much to that. And we are so quick to jump on man's wisdom and knowledge, right? Instead of faithfulness, right?
Yeah.
And if we would just lean on him, and his faithfulness and really trust him, I cannot say this for a fact, but I was talking to my pastor, who is my buddy, and that day, and he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, whatever God wants me to. I can't fix this. This is bigger than me. I can't fix it. I can't do nothing about it. But what I can do is give it to God and say, okay, God, your will be done. And have no malice in my heart, no anger at him, right? And just understand that he knows best, even when I don't like the outcome. And I even told my wife that I said, we have to make sure that we're not angry and upset about this, whatever it ends up being. And, I can't say because I don't know, but I would kind of like to think that God looked at that and said, that is some really big time faith. And I see your heart and I see that, you really believe that, you know what I mean? Because he knows the Bible says he's a discerner of our heart, so he could tell whether I was bull crapping or not. Right. But I really think that he's seen that and he blessed it. Right. And he did something that doesn't generally happen, and I'm grateful. And that only boosted my faith and my confidence in God and who he is, and my testimony. Right. So, I mean, I'm thankful for it. So
that's cool.
What time?
Oh, no, I was gonna say 4 kids. That's pretty cool, and I like the fact that you still count your first baby as being a part of your family too. It's important. We were doing a head count the other day, and my kids were like, "Yeah, I think Mom and Granddad have more grandkids than Mom and Pop," talking about my side versus his. And one of my kids was like, "Actually, no, they're tied up because my sister and brother-in-law had a precious baby last year who was born still. And my daughter still counted him in the head count. She was like, he counts. Yep. He may not be here right now, but that doesn't matter. He counts. That's right. And so it's just, it's important to make those babies count because they count.
It is.
And, but yeah, that's cool. That's really cool though, that your baby is, so what's his name? Malachi? That's so cool.
Yeah. He's Malachi Asher. So
that is awesome.
For years, I wanted to name, ever since the first one, can we name him Remington? If it's a girl, could we name it Benelli? Went through all these different names and stuff, right? Just trying to, I always wanted to, and I liked Asher. I loved Asher. And I never could get her to bite on it. And so the day that we were driving to go to the OB after her water broke, God brought to my memory, Malachi 3:10, where he talks about, bring in your goods, right? Bring in your tithes, right? And see if I don't pour out a blessing that, will be overrunning, right? And that's paraphrasing, but when I thought about that, because it's one of my favorite verses, I was just like, I think we should name him Malachi. And I pulled it up and I looked what Malachi meant and stuff, and I was just like, well, I forget what it is right now, but at the time I was like, well, that's very fitting, and I was like, what about Asher? So I look up Asher and I was like, Malachi Asher, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's, when you put the two together, it's almost like God's strength or something. It's something like that. And I was just like, right. And she was like, okay, I give, so I got my Malachi Asher, right? So
yay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, Eric broke me down on Ezekiel for a while. So we have our baby is Ezekiel. He's not really a baby anymore. He'll be 6 in like 2 weeks or something like that. But
they're always no matter how big.
Always our babies. But no, Ezekiel was a name. I was like, oh, I'll never name my kid Ezekiel. That's just no. And then he was like, what about Ezekiel Aaron? And I'm like, oh no. And then finally I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's fine. God said it's fine. I just I would never have chosen a different name for him because he is definitely an Ezekiel Aaron. And his middle name is actually Eric's cousin that used to live in West Virginia. And he was a riot. I mean, he was just a hoot. And that's what this kid is. He is a hoot. I mean, I feel like we have definitely taken our kids' middle names and like given them great guides because, Aaron was a character and a half. And Ezekiel is a character and a half, right? The same as Aaron was. So, yeah, it's just kind of funny. But anyway, that's pretty awesome. I like that story. Okay, do you have any questions you want to ask? Eric loves when I ask him that in the middle of a live. So go ahead, ask him. Do you have any questions you want to ask him?
I don't know. What are we talking
about? All kinds of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, do you have any questions for
She likes to just put me right on the spot.
See, he says every time. He hates it.
Well, I guess the first question I have is, what time do you need to be off? Because I want to be respectable of your time too.
I'm free. And kids are in bed. I'm free.
So we can chat some
So
more
we
garden
got
stuff.
freedom.
So we can chat some more garden stuff. Okay, so you have any garden things?
So, you're obviously much further north than us. Have you gotten anything growing so far? And the reason why I ask is because if you look,
he hasn't watched any of your videos, so you have to embellish.
Well, whether I'm watching them or not, I ask
everybody
questions.
Else can, yeah. Okay, that's
get with
true.
it, Monica. Jeez, she does her own podcast. You would think she would know this stuff. Rookies, am I right?
Right. I have people help me on the podcast. I don't do it myself.
Anyway, so over at our garden, we got everything is just really starting to take off. And Monica's been harvesting cucumbers, and
I made a big half-gallon jar of pickles yesterday. So excited!
Yeah, so she's been posting some stuff on like Instagram, Facebook, things like that, and even in some of our videos where people were like, "Wait a minute, what do you got growing behind you? You already, you got your blooms and everything." And so
I fried up zucchini last night.
Yeah, we had fried green tomatoes.
Fried green a tomato may have fallen off in my hand that was green. It was actually sandwiched between two tomatoes, and they were kind of growing into one another. So I was like, well, this little one right here needs to pop off, and I kind of pulled it out of the equation. It kind of needed it just needed to come inside with me. Right. So I pulled that off. But I do have some tomatoes that are Porter tomatoes, and they're specific to Texas. And because they're like more heat hardy, and they bloom earlier and they bloom longer in the heat, and they're already producing. So I am excited. Nothing is red yet, but I'm excited.
So I'm assuming by the shaking of your head that you're nowhere near that yet.
No.
Well, I've even got cabbage heads out there.
I've got stuff planted and growing, and it's doing well. And see, I start peppers in December and January, right? So by the time
we have a hoop greenhouse, right?
I do have a little one that I built from a trampoline that people can go and watch and see. That was actually videos. It was building a greenhouse out of an old trampoline. But I out there, it still gets too cold, even though I heat it up the best I can with propane and oil heaters and stuff. It's still, well, if you've been here, it gets super cold. So we had some nights that were, like -10 this past year. I tried to grow a pumpkin out there, and that didn't work. So I did get to overwinter 2 pepper plants in there. And some other things that were cold hardy did do all right. But I start the plants inside. And so like you can go and watch the videos from this past winter. My daughter's room was taken over, and it looked like Jumanji. And so, even she loves my plants, but even she was like, "Dad, when can we get these plants out here?" And I love it. I was like, "Well, as soon as God lets the equator come a little farther north, we'll be all right." And but I did grow and drive my wife crazy during the winter time. It's the first time I've ever grown during the winter. Usually I take winter off and just like, meh. But there was some competitions that they had started for winter growing, so I wanted to do that. I ended up winning the giant cucumber contest. Like 4 pounds and 12 ounces is what I grew. It was 22 inches long or something like that. And
all right, now I feel like you're just bragging now, Ryan.
Well, wait, okay. So you are harvesting though, because I'm pretty sure there's a video out that shows you harvesting potatoes.
Yeah, so I did grow potatoes in the greenhouse this winter. So yeah, my dad grew a Kennebec potato. Kennebec's, if you know anything, they're little potatoes, right? So my dad grew a potato. Like I went and helped. He wanted me to come help him dig the potatoes last year, so I did. And I started uncovering this one, and I'm like, man, this thing's big. And next thing I know, it's like this. And so it's like 2 pounds and 11 ounce.
Does he grow anything regular?
Yes.
Dude, I'm sorry. I just got to cut you off.
He grows regular stuff.
Do you grow regular stuff?
Yeah. Well, that wasn't mine. That was my dad. That wasn't mine.
He can't help it. It's in his blood. He's like, baby, look, I got a tomato. And it's like this big. And she's like, could you not grow a regular tomato? I just want a slice of something. When they have a sliced tomato sandwich, it's one slice is the whole slice of bread.
It's like hanging over the edge of the bread.
Yes. I can imagine the house.
Yep.
He comes and he's like, I got 1 tomato. You don't have to harvest more than 1 or 2 things.
No, right, exactly. Like that 1 potato made mashed potatoes for a week. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, I love it.
But I saved it because I was just so intrigued by that. Well, then it started to grow sprouts, and I was like, I just want to try something. And so because I'd watched a video of a guy that took a giant sweet potato, planted a couple of what do you call them, slips off of it, and he grew more giant sweet potatoes. So I'm like, okay, let me go out here with this one giant Kennebec, cut off the eyes and plant them and see what happens. I didn't expect them to try to take over the greenhouse. Like
you grew giant eyes of potatoes. You should have known better.
Right, I should have. But
you grew like mutant potato. You took a mutant potato and grew mutant babies. That's what you should have known better.
I should have, but I didn't.
That's what happens.
And there they are, taking over the green. So the other day I go in there and I'm like, okay, I'm looking around. I'm like, the potatoes got to go. I just don't want to do it, but they got to go, man. So I start pulling them up, and I ended up getting like 19 potatoes, and I think off of it, and we fried them up that night and had them for dinner with some Swiss chard and stuff. I guess if you think about it, I am getting stuff. I get Swiss chard. When I think of harvest, I don't think of that. I think of like I'm pulling beans and greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lambs, rams, hogs.
Wait, isn't that a song?
That's the song. He went for the song. So it's funny because you were talking about taking a chance, right? You were just like, oh, I'm curious. So we had some friends come over a few months back from YouTube, the Naked Gardeners. They're in here, so they know your feeling of trying something. And I handed Mr. Naked Gardener, as they like to call him. It's Sydney, right? So I hand him as he's leaving. I'm like, thanks so much for coming over, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, I wanted to give you some duck eggs. And he was like, oh, cool. So I gave him an 18 count. He's like, oh, cool. He's like, are they fertile? I was like, yeah, but they've been sitting on my counter for a little bit. I just figured he would, they would enjoy some. No, this craziness went home, stuck all 18 in his incubator, and now he has a mutant duck because he took a chance. See, when you try to grow, he actually got a bunch of ducklings out of it. And one of those ducklings has like this like extra foot on its head. No joke. I'm not even kidding you. If you go to the Naked Gardeners, you'll see it. They named him like tofu or something. So some ducks have like what's called a crest on the top. Right. And so I have a bunch of ducks that are runners, and there is a crested gene that goes through several of my ducks. Well, I don't keep them separate. They all just inbreed like crazy because I don't care. It's just a bunch of Barnyard mixes. Right. So when Sydney, Mr. Naked Gardener, put all those eggs in there, I mean, he just got a barnyard mix. Well, one of those barnyard mixes had the crest, and on the top of that crest is that extra foot. And it's like a 90s boy band haircut, where they're like doing like this.
Agitating, like you'd be sitting there running, and it's like plop, 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 plop.
No, he was eating,
and it was like eat, right? He goes and down to eat, and his foot's in his mouth, like it's a literal foot.
Yes, it's like a little. It's like a part of a foot.
Technically, I mean, he's never really upside down.
Yeah, because he can swim. I
don't think it has enough.
I wonder if he uses that foot. You know how a duck will get in the water and do like this, to get the water on its back? I wonder if he just reaches his foot down there like this. Just
I saw it. I'm telling you, you got to go check him out. It's the funniest thing. I love it so much. And I couldn't believe they were going to keep it. I'm like, you're keeping it. I mean, I wouldn't get rid of it. But it's grown, like it's feathered out. That's and everything. Now I had one that had a bouffant that was messed up and a little brain damage, and he was so sweet. And we called him Bob Ross. He was so sweet. He was one of our favorites. And he lived for like 9 months. And then finally, I guess his brain damage was kind of too much, and he passed away.
Anymore,
yeah, it was done. But no, this duckling actually walks around like he just is chill. I'm interested to see if it's a boy or girl. I can't wait to see when they reveal if it's a boy or girl. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm telling you, it's the craziest thing. But see, that's what happens when you try to grow mutant potatoes and you try to grow inbred ducklings that are sitting on the counter for 2-3 weeks, maybe.
Right. I've got like stacks of eggs over there. Now I'm gonna go put all them in and see what's all there.
Well,
I
you know
think
what we've been.
all of ours, but these
Yeah.
are these are
Well,
old.
incubate them. If you incubate them, you can always, I don't know what the poultry situation is there, but that's a great way to make some extra money too, is chicks, because people are getting a little nervous not being able to import chicks because you've heard about the whole thing where you can't take chicks. Yeah. And you can't ship them into certain states, things like that. So yeah. But I will say that, you can always dehydrate eggs if you have a dehydrator. I just learned that.
I water glass them.
Oh, I do water glassing too,
Yep.
but dehydrating takes up less space. So I have 3 great big things of water glassed eggs right now because he can't eat chicken eggs. He can only eat duck eggs. So I water glass my duck eggs. Yeah. And then I'm thinking about I'm going to take a bunch of the duck eggs and go ahead and dehydrate them. Yeah. See, 14 duck eggs in the incubator. Whoop, whoop. But I'm going to dehydrate a bunch of my eggs and powder them up so that I have options, so that if I don't have any space for the water glassing, I've got dehydrated stuff too, especially because they're lighter too. So if I had to go somewhere in a hurry,
can't run with 5-gallon buckets,
Exactly. I can take a dehydrated Mylar bag full of eggs wherever I need to go. So yeah. I'm excited about that.
Them though.
Like you mix them up like you have like scrambled eggs, but nothing else in them, just the egg. And then you put it in a fine layer on a dehydrating, like one of those like little paper things you put on there.
Like you put for freeze drying it?
Kind of, no, it's like a fruit roll-up tray. So you can get like a fruit roll-up piece that goes on your dehydrator, right? So it's like sometimes it's parchment, but you have to be careful. But you just basically put on that little, I have a circle one. I have a circle dehydrator. But I just put on that little tray that doesn't let anything go through, and I pour a thin layer of eggs, put it on dehydrate for 12 to 18 hours, depending on the dehydrator. And you let it sit on there and they'll dehydrate, and you can crumble them up and grind them.
How many eggs do you get at one time?
So depending on how big your dehydrator piece, you can do 5 or 6 eggs on one tray.
Okay. That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah. And I've got like 8 trays.
Right.
I think I have 8 trays because I bought extra. And then I think I have like 6 of those like pieces that go on there for like fruit roll-ups or whatever. So I can do like 6 trays at a time right now. So I'm excited to really get it going so that I can have it put away.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Right now, everybody needs to put everything away, right?
Yes, exactly.
Did you take them eggs and powder them up or whatever?
No, I didn't. The ones I had before.
What'd you do with them?
I just put them to the side.
What do you mean?
I need to take them and grind them up and do more. I need to do more. They weren't quite done. I didn't like the way they looked, but now I know that's okay. They were good. I tried it once and I didn't. I kind of stopped halfway and was like, I'm not doing this. But I was watching a video today and she said that some of the oil on there, it looks like the oil that's there, it's okay to have that oil because that's a natural fat. You just need to make sure you're really dehydrating it well. Put the OT2 absorber in and then make sure you suck the air out if you have one of those sucker top things.
I got you. Yeah.
That's the way I do it. So I have the little piece that goes from my food saver and it sucks the oxygen out or the air out basically. And then I have an oxygen absorber in there too that'll just do the O2. So it kind of double seals it. So that kind of it's more for like a longer term storage,
right.
A year. So
if he can eat duck eggs, can you eat geese eggs too?
He's never tried. We've had the opportunity to try because I have a friend that has geese. Yeah, they're huge. But he's like, why take the risk?
Oh, you get super sick.
Because it's like a throat itchy feeling. Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to take that chance. I'm like, yeah, probably not.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even that totally sound like fun.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I got 2 incubators going right now. So
ooh, what you got in there?
Just a bunch of the chickens and ducks that were from out there.
Your chickens and ducks? Or are they neighbors? They're just strays that come running around. You're like, I'll take these eggs.
Well, I do have some of the neighbors' ducks. Excuse me, some of the neighbors' eggs. They give me some randomly here and there, like, hey, just try these out and see if they do anything, So last night I went in there to check a guinea egg because she bought 2 guineas. One of them died maybe 2 weeks after we bought it, right? So one guinea left, and it's in there with these other baby chickens, right? So it needs a pal. So he gave us a guinea egg. He found one of the guineas had started laying eggs out in the nest, trying to away from where he wanted them. So he got one of the eggs and he gave it to her. And we've been keeping close eye on it because it should be hatching. So last night I went in there to go check and see if it was hatching, and I'm hearing peeps. I'm like, oh, it's the guinea. And so I flipped the lid open, and it's like, that's not the guinea egg. That's one of the chicken eggs. Okay, all right. So then I look at the date, and it was one of his chickens. So I was like, okay. And I went to my other incubator and looked at that date, and I was like, oh, they're the same. So I start looking at those, and I had like 3 in there that were peeping. So I brought them and put them in the other incubator. So that, anyways, I think, right now the guinea is trying to crack its egg and try to come out. But I think we've got 5 or 6 total on the chickens already. So this is the second time I've incubated this year already. So I'm just going to raise up, and the roosters, I'm just going to raise them till fall or whatever, and then off with his head. And
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep, and then let the hens do their thing. You know, I mean, it's just. Have y'all looked at the prices of eggs?
Yeah, and have you looked at the prices of chicken in general? Ridiculous! Right. It's crazy.
I mean, how is any like they said they were redoing pumps, so here, so that they could be able to accept a $10 price tag for a gallon of gas, and I'm thinking, how's anybody going to be able to go anywhere and do anything?
Yeah. Well, I will say, this is something I know you said you like challenges. You're maybe a little competitive there. There is a guy here that's in our chat. He might still be in here. Rich from Old Swedes Farm. He has a challenge, him and another channel called The Cow Emporium. Great channels. Rich is the gentleman that just hit 1,000. So they have a challenge going on. It's called $50 February 2023, where we're going to join in on this challenge where you can commit to growing or basically just storing up enough food that during the month between now and February 2023, during the month of February 2023, you can only spend $50 per couple plus $25 each child in your home for that month. That would be all you get for groceries that month. So you would live off of everything else stored up in your pantry or in your home that you've prepared for. So we're taking that challenge. I'm excited. I mean, we've got 6 kids. We've got 7 kids living in our house.
I don't have so many. And that's, you said $50 for how many? $50
for a couple.
For the couple.
So basically $25 a person.
Right.
So $25 a person in your house. So you've got 5 people in your house. I mean, that's doable. Think about it, though. People are like, well, you have more money, you have more kids. Okay, well, I've got more kids, but that also means I have more mouths.
Wait,
so it's still $25 a person.
Did they say if you have more kids, you have more money?
Oh, you have more money to spend.
Sorry. I thought you meant like you had a better paying job.
You never have more money if you have more kids.
I should be making top dollar right now.
No,
right?
But everybody still gets the same amount, really, because it's $25 per mouth. So like my youngest is almost 6. It's a lot different if my youngest was only, 1 or 2, because a 1 or 2-year-old may not need $25.
I might be close to that now.
See, on your grocery bill. See, you could do that. I think it's really cool because I bet you could do something like that. But it'd be nice. Wouldn't it be nice to see though, if you can do that? Because maybe, just maybe, this is God's way of preparing a big community of people now to get ourselves ready so that we can be comfortable living that way. Because some of us may have to eat that way. And some of us may have, and it's not just, the idea is not just to live off of chicken, eggs, and, whatever you've just gotten that, chicken, eggs, and toast or something, bread and water and eggs. That's not it. It's about eating quality foods the way you would normally eat as much as possible.
I like that because that's during the month that trapping season is. So I'm already trapping. So I'll just go out and trap my food.
See, there you go. But even better now,
whenever I'm eating possum tenders and yard greens and nobody else. All right.
Wait, what?
Possum tenders and yard greens.
Yard greens?
Yard greens.
Yard greens. Oh, okay, there you go. Sorry.
Oh, you mean grass? Yeah,
Just grass. He's eating grass.
We got grass out here too.
But possum tenders. Have you ever ate possum tenders?
No, we eat rabbit all the time.
Everybody eats possum tenders.
You've never eaten possum tenders.
And I live in West Virginia. There's roadkill all the time. Okay. This is not a problem, guys. We can win.
See, you can do this. See, well, it's not a competition, but we can think of it as one, right? And we can still be like, because I feel like in the end, if you've done this, you've won. Like if you can get to the end of your February and accomplish this, I feel like there's such a huge win for you to be like, dude, I did this.
Right.
I actually got through. But what a great way for you to see where you're lacking as well in your different areas, in the different stores that you have and all that. So I think that, you know, that makes a lot of sense. I love this challenge. And then another friend of mine has a challenge out there too with seeing if you have enough things in your pantry that you can make like 5, I'm going to mess it up, but basically it's like 5 different meals out of what's in your pantry right now. Could you eat good quality meals, make recipes out of what you've got? And if something does hit the fan and you're stuck at home and you need to be able to make food with what you've got, do you have things that you can do? Do you know those recipes? Can you duplicate them?
That's like mama. You know, our mamas, it was nothing for them to go in there and you would look in there and be like, man, there ain't nothing in here to eat. And they come and eat. And you go in there and it's like a full course meal set up before you. It's like, where'd you get all this food from? Well, it was in the cabinets there.
Yep. Well, I have to say, last night I had a good night because I had no idea what to make. I've been dealing with sick kids most of the week. And last night I was in the garden and I was enjoying myself in the garden. I was picking green beans and I was just really having a nice afternoon there in the garden. And the kids are like, you know, what's dinner? What's for dinner? And I'm like, you know what? I think we're going to have bacon and sausage, some sausage gravy and biscuits. I might even grab some of these mustard greens with our onions, maybe fry them up. I didn't do that because it was just extra that I just had to do because I made homemade biscuits. Right. And then we had fried zucchini and fried green tomatoes. And I had all these things and I was making it. And I literally looked at Eric and I was like, okay, just shy of the biscuits because it's not our butter. It's not our flour. None of that's hand milk. Right. But just shy of that, like, and the milk for the gravy. Everything else was from our farm. That was our pork. That was our pork all the way through. You know, that's our meat. That's our vegetables. Like all that was ours. I was so excited to be able to grow that.
Yep. It makes you feel really good.
It was. And it's just one of those things to be able to be like, yes. And to be able to say to the kids, you didn't see this in the pantry. You didn't see this in the fridge, but it was all right there. Yep. And all I had to do was just pull it out and put it together. And it felt so good to do that because, you know that's something his grandma would do.
Well, you know, you don't have to have milk to make your gravy, right? You can use water.
Yes. I did have milk though. So I was using some oat milk. I had oat milk actually.
When it's got milk, right?
Yeah. Well, I did it with milk because I was like, well, I'll go ahead and do this because I did add the flour to the gravy and the sausage. And I was wondering if the sausage had enough like body to it. So I added oat milk because I didn't want to be able to taste that flour. So it was good. The oat milk was dairy free. He didn't even know it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was waiting for her to go out and milk one of the cows.
No, you weren't. Right. We don't have no milking cows. Get out of here.
Well, yeah, but there's some nursing babies. You could have just stole some milk. Come on.
No.
Too easy, right?
There you go.
Remember Ben Stiller on Meet the Parents? I was just doing this. I was milking the teats. You know, when he was talking to his cat or whatever. That's funny. Green bean bundles. You ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so I love green bean bundles. And it's really simple. You go out, you pick your fresh green beans. You got to have bacon and brown sugar. Okay. You take, your green beans and you cut them to where they're probably sticking out of the slice of bacon about a 1/4 inch on either side of the bacon, right?
You have your bacon.
And then you just take a bundle of green beans, right? Like 5 or 6, however many, and you wrap bacon around it, stick a toothpick to it, and then sprinkle brown sugar on the top of it and bake it at 350 in the oven. Or you can put them on the grill. And it's called green bean bundles. And man,
that sounds good.
They're really good. Yeah, really good.
Man, you got bacon. I mean, just
and you can eat asparagus like that too.
asparagus. See,
all right. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for being our guest.
At our dinner, we had an anniversary dinner on Tuesday night, and I ordered crab cakes. I don't know why I ordered crab cakes from a Texas place. I don't know why. Something is wrong with my brain that I actually ordered crab cakes from a place here in Texas. I should have known it was going to be like store-bought and deep fried, but whatever. We're not going to talk about that. What we will talk about is that Eric ordered this gorgeous like kebab dinner, and it was like steak chunks and like shrimp pieces and these kebabs, and they were like laid over this beautiful palette of like onion and like little baby red potatoes, onions, and Brussels sprouts. And they were all like garnished in
bacon.
And he was like, I don't know, but okay, it's got bacon, so it's fine. And it was so good. I was actually eating his Brussels sprouts because they were so good. Bacon just makes it better. So yeah, I imagine if they would have put bacon in my crab cakes, it would have been much better.
Yeah, they would have fried it in bacon fat, right? Bacon grease. Y'all
something.
Do y'all save it?
What, our bacon grease?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Because it's our bacon too. So I know I don't save bacon grease from the store typically because I'm kind of a snob that way. But I know what I put into our pigs. So I will save our bacon grease. I definitely do. I save them in mason jars, and I used to save them and put them on the counter, but it gets really hot here.
Right.
And it's different than in West Virginia because Grandma used to save her bacon grease, keep it on the counter. It was fine. Yep. Here, the heat, it's a whole level. It's like a level of thing. It's a thing. Right. So I put my bacon grease in the refrigerator, and it keeps forever and a day, and I love it. So yeah.
Well, I just butchered our first pig. Okay. Back, nice. I don't know, beginning of April. Chili Mac was his name, and he came to us by way of just running the roads and stuff, right? So yeah, so the neighbors down come over last year, and they were like, "Hey, do you have a pig loose?" I was like, "I don't have a pig." Well, we've done asked several other people, and you were the only other person we knew to ask. There's a pig running loose, okay? And what had happened just about 2 months before that, a exotic hunting place had a shipment of exotic pigs like Eurasian boars and the what are they called? Not David's rams, but something biblical. Jacob's ram, right? Yeah, they wrecked on the mountain. There was all these exotic animals. Yeah. And so I thought, well, maybe it's one of them. And it had some really, big hair on the back of its neck sticking up, kind of look. But he had a real big belly too, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know. It almost looked like a cross between one of those and a potbelly. So they said, "Do you want him?" And I was like, "Well, not really." I was like, "But since he's here, I'll stick him in the garden area, let him till it up for me." Yeah. And ended up where he used the bathroom at is where I grew the world record butternut squash at. I grew that in his body. Anyways, we ended up fencing the whole yard in for other reasons, so we could keep the deer out of our garden and off of my giants. Well, anyways, we came home one night and it was a really bad storm. She wanted to hurry up and get in the house. I thought we'd just wait for it to pass over. In our rush to the door, we left the gate open. Well, he decided to push on the property line fence and his fence and push it apart at the corner and squeeze through. Well, there the front gate is wide open, so he just happily walks out, right? This makes like the second time he'd gotten out. The first time he got out, we didn't have a fence up, and now we have the fence up to keep him in, but yet there he goes. And he didn't go out before he ate the tops off of my corn, right? Like he goes and mows a couple rows of my corn down first, then he goes and leaves. So he gets over across the road and the horses, and we go over to get him, and the horses are acting kind of like I'm not supposed to be in there. Like, and I've been around horses since I was a kid. I've never had a problem with horses. I love them. I ride them all the time. But those horses over there acted like they would stomp me to death, right? Like I was legitimately scared of them, like ears straight up.
They just had a pig run through their feet.
Right. Well, I mean, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So we tried to get him to come back. You know, we were shaking the pig feet and stuff. And he was always kind of off, right? Like he would get mean. He had tusks and everything. And he would get really belligerent. Like if you tried to push him or move, like, you know, you just try to start slinging his head around like he's going to cut you. And I said, I ain't getting hit with them cutters. So anyways, the horses find out that he's in there. And they're like, oh, no, Piggy ain't got to go in here. So it looked like Pumbaa being chased across the African plains by a herd of lion horses, right? And I'm like, oh, they're going to kill him. Well, they chase him in a circle and get him around, and they stop. And the lady calls her horses off and gets them down there, and she puts them all on leads and ties them up on the thing there. So I could go up there and look for him. So I go up there and I look to see if I can find him, and he's gone. And I'm like, where did he go? So I'm walking up and down the road. I done walked over as far as I can in the field, and the next one that I would go to, I don't belong to them, so I couldn't go over there. I don't know where he went. And so I get the drone up, fly it, and look for him. I can't find him anywhere. It's days, right? And I'm just like, well, I guess he's gone. Either that or the horses, because, you know, pigs have that disease where if they get stressed out, they can, like, go into some sort of, like, instead of hypothermia, they get super hot and they just die, right? Like, have y'all heard about that?
No, but we live in Texas. Our pigs get super hot anyway, so they don't die. They just deal.
They got to get stressed out first. Like it's a stressor, and the stress,
like mad pig disease.
No. I can't. Google it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But they get stressed out, and it creates a response in the body that's opposite of hypothermia, and they die. Like they go into cardiac arrest and everything. Like
pig panic attacks that cause hypothermic reactions, or no, anti-hypothermic reactions.
There you go. It's something like that. So anyways, so I'm thinking maybe the horses chasing him caused that, right? So we give up on Chili Mac. Chili Mac's gone. No more Chili Mac. So the kids are heartbroken. Everybody's kind of upset. Chili Mac had been my YouTube, buddy, right? And didn't have him. So gets about August, and Annie finds a piglet, a Cooney piglet. And I love Coonies. So she's like, can we go get it? I was like, yeah. So she goes and gets the Cooney piglet, and that's Petunia now. And then that was on one day. Well, the next day, because I wanted to breed Cooney, so the next day her sister says, hey, I just found a male Cooney that's a young one for $100. And I was like, oh yeah, go get him. So we go get him. So one day we got Petunia, one day we get, Wilbur. And on the third day, like Jesus, Chili Mac pops back up.
Chili Mac getting raised from the dead.
Goes. That's how it always goes.
Like, no kidding. The neighbors called and said, there's a pig down here that looks similar to the one that you had. You want to come look at him? And I was like, yeah. They were like, would you know if it was him or not? I was like, oh, yeah, most definitely I would know. I get down there. He's bald. He's done shed all of his hair off for the summer. Don't know where he's been, but he is filthy. Looked like he'd been rolling around in a mud hole somewhere, right? And they were like, is that him? I said, yep, that's him. Because I could tell with his tusk, right? And just his demeanor. And so we're bringing him home with a loaf of bread. That's the only way he's following me is with a loaf of bread.
Oh, my word.
Right? And I only got to come like a quarter mile, but it took like an hour to get him here because he just fat and slow and eating one little chunk of bread at a time and trying to keep him on point to move forward. A guy comes running by, Wellington, my buddy, actually. He says, is that the boar or the sow? I said, it's a boar. He's like, oh, I was just wondering. He's been up to the farm for about 2 months now, and the sow's up there. And I said, what in the world? Like, you didn't tell me? Like, like he's like, I'll be honest, I didn't even think about it, Brian. I was going to eat him too. Yeah. Whatever, So I bring him back, and I threatened all fall to put him down, right? And then I was going to do it this winter. And my papa, he had done them before, you know, ever since he was a kid. So I was going to have him come over and, you know, split it with him and just have him help me do it because I never done one. Nobody could come. He got kind of sick and everything. So back in the beginning of April, you know, I finally did the deed, right? I found the last cool weekend that there was in the 20s, right? And I just did the thing. And so I put it up on TikTok, right? Like not the actual stuff, but I just put like, you know, this is what you need if you're going to butcher a hog, right? Part 1. Part 2 was of him hanging up, completely skinned out, no head or nothing, just you know, him skinned out. You would not believe oh my goodness.
The backlash is real when you put up real life things. It makes people feel uncomfortable. It makes people feel uncomfortable.
And it's like, where do y'all think when you go to the grocery store and it's wrapped in that nice little packaging? Where do you think it come from? You know?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, you know, somebody said something and I forgot what it was, but it made me think. I said, well, you know, all that nice squishy juice you're squeezing when you squeeze that meat and it's all watery like, you know? I was like, you know what that is? A bunch of nasty antibiotics and crap that the meat is trying to purge out. I was like, I bet my meat don't look like that when I'm, you know, so I mean, but that's the story of Chili Mac, and Chili Mac had to bite the dust, but yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We're on Monday, we're actually going to eat a whole half of him because I decided to just cut him down the middle and like, because once he looked really big, like he looked like a really big pig and he was super heavy. Like the winch on the side by side was straining to pull him. Well, anyways, once we got him skinned out and everything, the halves were not as big. So I thought, well, there's not really much to make sausage and bacon out of. So we'll just cook one half at a time. So that's kind of, so we're going to eat Chili Mac on Monday. So that's going to be,
well, that's good. I have to say, I really like watching your channel. I really like seeing all the things you're doing. And, you know, most of the people here, we're over our time. We usually stay until 10. So people I know are like, bye, we're leaving. But there's a few people still hanging in here. Thank you, Bryce, for hanging in here still a little longer. But if y'all haven't checked out Ryan over at Heavenly Hills Homestead, please make sure you do. He is awesome. And you know, I don't know what you were before you came on here, but just so you know, you're up to
475.
So you're up to 493 right now. You are 7 subscribers away from your 500. Now you'll probably lose a few because that's how life goes. But hopefully that would be really awesome to see you up to 500 by the end of the month, because I think that can be done. I mean, 7 away. Yeah, that's easy. That's easy stuff. And then you can get your community page and start talking about these things that you're doing too a lot easier, because once you get that community tab, it makes it easier to communicate with the people that are here on YouTube. Even though you're doing a daily video, so you have it easy that way too. But maybe you'll be able to plan things out a little bit and give your wife a little bit of break on that, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely need some.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, we really do appreciate you coming over. Everybody, we ask that you guys make sure you check out Ryan. Make sure you hit that thumbs up as we complete our show for tonight.
Make sure you leave a comment if you watch his videos. That way it'll stick.
Yeah. Hey, and who likes fellow West Virginians with some good stories?
Right.
Farmers' wives do.
And farmers do too. Thank you all so much. We'll catch you next week. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ryan. This was so much fun. We had great conversations. We really appreciate you.
Hey, anytime. Maybe I can